All right, everybody. What's up? Today, I want to talk about, I want to ask a question, then I want to kind of discuss it. Are black businesses forced to operate perfectly? Now, the reason this came up is because today I was talking with some friends, and it just seems like when it comes to a black business, it's like there is no room for error, no room whatsoever. You cannot make a mistake. It's like if the food is not perfect or whatever the product is not perfect, if the service is not perfect, then all of a sudden it's a bad business. Don't go back. You know what I'm saying? If you have one, if every employee there treats you nice, but you get one employee with a slight attitude, the the thing people say now is don't go back. It's a bad business. Now, I try to patronize black businesses. As a matter of fact, I do patronize black businesses. Now, the thing that for me is this, because what I hear other people when they say like, "Oh, I don't do go to black businesses. Black businesses got bad customer service. They never had this. They never had that." The things that they're saying that they experience with black businesses, I've experienced with businesses not owned by black people, by white, by Indians, by everybody else. I've experienced that. So, I mean, I'm just trying to understand, and what I was trying to get them to understand is when you start criticizing black-owned businesses, and when you do this, you specify like that's a black-owned business. That's why I don't support them. That's a black-owned business. That's why I don't deal with them. That's a black-owned business. They should know better. They should do this. And I'm just trying to understand. It's like I've been to white-owned businesses to where I like, let's say Chili's. I've been to Chili's to where I have actually just been left at the front door. Nobody came to greet me. Um, you know, and I've sat at the table. I didn't get no fork. I didn't get no utensils. I've been to, let's see, what's another experience I had at a restaurant? So that was Chili's. Um, I've been to Chili, like I said, and when I sat there, the waitress came one time and she never came back but to ask for the tip and the check. When it was time for the check, she was all smiles. So these same things that we experience in other restaurants, why is it that when it comes to black restaurants or black businesses, the service has to be perfect? There can be no mistake whatsoever. It's like if you walk in and they don't put ketchup in your bag, all of a sudden you want to slam that black business. If it's a white business, I'll stop by the store or I got some ketchup at home, or you just go back in and ask for some ketchup and you're done. But with black businesses, you want to get on Yelp, you want to get on what is it? All the other Google review and leave all these negative comments, and that's what I don't seem to understand. So that's what I'm trying to figure out. Like, why is it when it comes to black businesses, they have to operate at a perfect standard? Because like I said, I have been to restaurants owned by white people that has been staffed by white people, and the service has been horrible. The food didn't come out right. They had attitudes. So I'm just trying to understand for everybody out there who keeps want to jump and rag on black businesses, what is it specifically? Tell me something that a black business is doing that white businesses aren't doing. What problems are you seeing at a black business that you don't find at a white business? Because I've been to white businesses where they've been out of products, they've been out of food, they've been out of certain drinks. I've been to white businesses where, the waitresses had attitudes, the cooks had attitude, the hosts had attitude. So I'm trying to understand is like when people start saying that a black business, are bad businesses, poor customer service, you mean to tell me that you don't never experience that at any other type business that's not black owned? See, that's what I'm trying to understand. I'm trying to understand that. Like, because when we was talking today, they just kept talking about they don't do black business because of, and the reasons that they are saying that is just, there's no justification. You really just can't tell me that a good reason that you can't compare to other ones. Yeah, black businesses aren't taken seriously. A lot of people, when a black person say they have a business, a lot of people take it as a joke. A lot of people take it as a joke. They think because it's a black business that they can't offer any service. And half the time, when you say you got a black business or you're a black business owner, nobody actually looks up your business or tries to inquire with you about your business, about your services. All they want to do is just say, soon as you say black business, that's it. That's it. That's all they want to talk about. They don't want to hear nothing else from you. But if a white person said, they get all inquisitive. Oh, so you offer this service? Offer this? Oh, okay. Oh, I'm gonna have to check you out. Black person, like, oh, that's cute. It's like a little kid who want to be an artist and drawing pictures. Oh, that's cute. And they throw it aside. But I'm just kind of tired of hearing people going after black businesses and black business owners, and they can't give a real reason as to why you won't support a black business. I don't understand that. But yet you'll keep going to these other businesses that are giving you bad service. You keep going to these other businesses that aren't offering you anything. Oh man, that's the truth. Yeah, you know what? I mean, it's sad, but that really is the truth. Because it's like everybody's looking at the entertainment and the media, especially the way hip hop is out there now. Everybody is judging hip hop, and that's how they're categorizing black people. That's how we're supposed to be. We're all being linked, just like you said, we're all being linked to that hip hop world. The Cardi B's, the Megans, and all the 6ix9ine, all this type stuff, and we're all of us are being categorized like that. They think that's how we do business. They think that's who we are as a people, and we are so far from that. So far from that, and it is destroying us because it is kind of getting off track for me, my part, but it bothers me that that's how they're categorizing the voice of black people by these hip hop people. They are now becoming the voice of black people. And I don't understand that because Puff Daddy, what's that other dude named? Nick Cannon, all of them, they out here talking about what black people want. Ain't none of them spoke to me and asked me what I thought about nothing. None of them asked me my opinion, my thoughts. So how you gonna go and speak for me? Because you speaking for your own little rich friends. Y'all your own little rich group. I don't benefit from nothing they do. Nothing they do. But that's how it is right now. Hip hop has become such an influence, but it's a negative influence. And I know people hate when I say, hip hop back in the 80s, when we had Houdini, we had Run DMC, KRS-One, when we had those guys, people hate when you go back to them. But when you really think about it, yes, they had their music. We did have NWA and we did have the Ghetto Boys. But the thing about it is they made some tracks that was vulgar, but they also educated people. They educated the black community. Even their songs talked about, being strong as black men. They talked about starting businesses. It talked about growing as a person. So, I don't know. Today's hip hop, I really can't even do it. Half the time, I don't even listen to it. I listen to more old school than I do some of this new school stuff. But even when you watch these reality TV shows and how they portray black businesses and how they act, a lot of our younger generation is watching these reality TV shows. And when they see like the Real Housewives of Atlanta and Potomac and Hip Hop Atlanta, there's a tattoo one about doing tattoos, like the tattoo shop or something. And you see those people with businesses. A lot of our young people think that's the way you're supposed to act. You're supposed to be hood. You're supposed to be loud and vulgar and cursing and everybody's sleeping with everybody. And they think that's the way you're supposed to manage a business because that's what's being put out there. That's what they put into the forefront. The real business owners who are behind the scenes actually trying to make it work, the real black business owners who are actually dedicated to their business, trying to be successful, trying to build something to pass down to their kids, nobody talks about them. Nobody promotes them. Even on social media, I never see any positive post about a real influential business person, especially a black man. Now, I see a lot of stuff about black women, so you get some black women, with their stuff going across. But when it comes to black men, you don't see nothing. You rarely see something about a black man in a positive way of him owning a business and starting a business. But now we get back to the same thing, to where nobody wants to deal with black business. Nobody want to deal with black people when it comes to a business. That's why when a lot of businesses try to actually bid on contracts, like some of these government and some of these federal contracts, local, state contracts, if you're a black business, it's like my man said, they don't take you serious. They don't take you serious. They really don't. If you say you got a construction company and you're a black business person, they pretty much think that you got a lawnmower, a hammer, and 2 nails. That's how they see your business. That's how they see it. And when you do something to where maybe you build a building and they're using it, it's not like some of the white companies where they actually promote and acknowledge, this is the company that constructed this building or did this project. When a black company does that, you don't hear anything about it. It's not promoted like that. That's how a lot of businesses start to get a reputation and people come to know who built that building. So more people will see that as a reference when they want to go and hire somebody to do something. But when it comes to black businesses, they don't do it. We don't get promoted like that. They don't acknowledge us like that. And so many black businesses, honestly, probably may last a year. It may last a year. But here's what really bothers me when it comes to black businesses. It's really the lack of support we give each other. It's the lack of support. And I'm talking about, like, you'd be surprised when I started my business, I got more post shares and likes and people commenting from people that I didn't even know. Like, family and friends didn't share, didn't post nothing. When I wrote my first song, I was like, yeah, all my friends and all them, they're going to be like, yeah, Reggie did this. Let's go ahead and post it. Hey, man, we're going to share your song. Not a one. Everybody that shared my stuff was a complete stranger on Instagram or Facebook. That's it. Nobody from my family, none of my so-called friends, and some of them I was in the military with for years, none of them shared one single thing about my business or what I was doing. And then that's the sad thing when it comes to black people. I mean, it's like, we can't even get our own friends and family to ride with us. We can't even get our own friends and family to, like, stick with us. I mean, I understand everybody's not asking for money. The biggest contribution you can give to somebody starting a business, if you got a social media account, is share that post, share what that person is doing. It don't cost you nothing but 3 seconds to hit share public, or wherever you're going to share it to a page. And they won't do that. They won't do it. They would not do it at all. Friends and family would not share your stuff. And it's sad. I got one friend, and I admit, he's white, but he's cool as can be. When he shares something, I mean, the first people to start posting and sharing his stuff is like his wife, his cousins. I mean, you see it. His family is like pushing it out there. But for us, our family just let it sit there like, oh, okay. But let somebody else do it. Then they want to share it, but you won't share your own. That person you're supposed to be riding to die with. That person you probably just borrowed money from, but you won't share a post to help them boost their business. I don't understand it. Yeah, there's no support. There is no support. If you are to be a black business owner, you got to be strong mentally. Mentally, you have to be strong and you have to know how to encourage yourself, because I don't want to sound negative about it, but the truth is you have to really be strong and able to encourage yourself. You have to be strong mentally as a black person starting a business, because you're going to be riding by yourself. And a lot of people don't realize that. They think when you start a business, people going to come to the door, everybody going to share your stuff, everybody going to be trying to look out for you. And the truth is they're not. You have to be mentally strong. You got to mentally be able to encourage yourself and find ways to reinvent that motivational factor that's going to keep you going. Because if you don't, you're going to realize, man, you can't, ain't nobody going to ride with you. Ain't nobody going to ride with you. So I asked the question, are black businesses forced to operate perfectly? And the answer is yes. If you are a black business owner, you have to operate damn near perfect operations and service. You have to, because just because of your color, you are going to be required to operate at a higher standard and efficiency level. The margin for error for a black-owned business is zero. Whereas I've seen people who have went to a white-owned or another business that's not white-owned, and they've gotten bad food and still go back. They've gotten bad service, still go back. They've overpaid and still went back. You know, a black-owned business, one bad service, one bad employee with a slight attitude, if a person forgets to come back with a drink, all of a sudden you get a bad review. Black-owned businesses have to operate at damn near perfect operational status every single day for every single customer. And there is not a company in this world that has that type of capability to do that. And I think some companies may try, but I guarantee you every company falls short somewhere. But if you're a black-owned business, there is zero tolerance. You have to operate at a damn near perfect status. You cannot have any errors or mistakes. I know that is sad. It's unfortunate. I'm a black-owned business owner, and I'm telling you right now, you cannot make mistakes. You have to go above and beyond as a black-owned business owner in order to just maintain your head above the water. You have to. Because like my man said, Mr. Holmes said, people don't take you seriously. When you say you're a black person, you say, yeah, I own my own business. Half the time, people don't even ask you, well, what type of business you have. If they do, it's in a sarcastic way to sort of mock it because they don't believe it. But you have to operate at a perfect status. And you have to, like I said, you got to be mentally strong. And you have to be determined and focused, because you will have less support from family and friends than you will have from other people. You have to be mentally strong. You have to be mentally able to deal with criticism, mentally able to understand that you may have to look at your business, make some adjustments. You can't lock everything in stone, but you have to keep focused on the fact that your business has to be almost perfect for you to succeed, because there's zero exceptions. You cannot make mistakes. And it's unfortunate, but it's the truth. And I think that's why a lot of black-owned businesses don't succeed. And it's not because it's not a good business. It's not because they don't have a good product. It's not because the service is bad. It is simply because a lot of black business owners, they will enter a business and they got the ideas, they got the plans, they know what they want to do, but mentally they just can't deal with the fact that they have a higher standard they have to maintain. I don't care if it's your 500 company and you got another company that your competitors are 500 companies too. The thing about it is they can let the ball drop in some areas. As a black-owned business, you cannot let the ball drop. You cannot drop the ball. And if you do, you have to make a quick recovery. You have to. Because if you're not able to catch your mistakes fast enough, you're done. you're done. You see how quick people go on Yelp and they go on Facebook and all this other stuff. They won't post anything about your business succeeding, but they will post everything about how your business forgot to give them a lemon, or how your business, you went to a black-owned grocery store, and the one day you don't have apples out because you're going through the apples in the back to bring them out. It don't matter if you're bringing the apples out. They went out there when they walked through by the fruit stand and there was no apples there. You're a horrible black-owned business. You don't have any merchandise or products. That's all they see. That's all they see. So as a black-owned business, yes, the answer is you have to operate at a almost perfect status. And like I said, mentally, you have to be stronger than an average business person. And this actually applies to, I don't know if you've ever been a supervisor or a manager as a black person in a leadership position at a company. It's the same thing. You have to manage and supervise at a higher standard than other people. You might have your white counterparts or your other counterparts, whereas they may have people who report to them that make mistakes. But with you, if payroll is not done perfectly, if you don't sign off on leave perfectly, if you're not documenting stuff perfectly, as a black person in a position of leadership, it's the same thing. You have to operate at a higher standard, and it puts you at a disadvantage, because whereas people of other culture and races are able to have some leniency, I always, like, this is what I tell the staff I have, because I worked at actually, I forget it, I tell you the name. I worked at Oglethorpe University, and it was only 2 black directors in the whole college. Okay, only 2. This is a 4-year university. There were only 2 black directors, myself and Tamara. And she was in charge of civic engagements. I was the director of public safety. Now, it was only 2 of us now, the only 2 black directors. And let me tell you something. My officers, okay, that worked for me were all black, okay? And I had to constantly remind them that regardless of what the other departments do, we are an all black staff in the public safety department. And it wasn't because, we were not trying to hire, people of other races, other genders, or whatever. Well, we had male and female, but they were all black. It's just the fact that I told the school this, that in order for us to bring in, more people, they're going to want more money, and they did not want to pay. I was just blessed that I had a wonderful staff working with me. But unfortunately, you know what? That's a good question. And the answer is, it shouldn't matter. It shouldn't matter that you're black when owning a business. But how do you get around that when you go to deal with a company, and then when they come to realize that you are black, all of a sudden the tables turn. They switch modes on you. Because I've had that happen, to where on the phone, it was cool. It was good. I mean, so that's the thing. It's like, it shouldn't matter. Only thing that should matter is, I need a service. This is a business that can provide it. If they can meet my standards, if they can provide the service, let's go with this business. But unfortunately, it doesn't always work that way. It should be about supply and demand. I feel what you're saying. I agree with you. It should be about supply and demand, but it's not always that simple in the business world. Unfortunately, it's not. It should be. You have something I need. If you can supply it, let's go with it. Race should not play a part of it. Race should not play a part of business, just like it should not play a part of who you hire, who you work with. Race should not be a part of it. But unfortunately, in some places, it does come into play. It does. I mean, like I said, in a perfect world, it would be about supply and demand. You got a company, your company offers a product, it offers a service. I can use it. Let's work together. Now, if a company hires your company as a Black-owned business to do business with, and you know, you're meeting the demands and all this stuff and everything is good, I can see they keep you on. But if you are a business owner and you're not meeting their requirements, then I can understand letting, like, okay, well, we got to part ways, because I've had to do that. But if I part ways with another company, so I've been Black. The way it's, let me see. Here's the thing. For me, it's like the experience I've had. I'm not saying all. First of all, let me clear something up. I'm not saying that every white company I have worked with has been this way, but I have worked with some to where, like, I think I sound Black, but sometimes when my helper, when she calls, when my admin calls and sets things up, then when I get there, you know, they're all excited, but then when I get there and they see me, and I'm when I go to a business meeting, I am suit, I am tie, or I have logo shirts. We have business IDs. So I'm not going there looking like somebody who just walked out of the, you know, out of the club or something. I'm a business professional. So when I go there, you can just feel and just see, like, this one guy who was like, yeah, your website, your service, I like it. I've heard, and I had one guy, he told me, I heard the reviews. I've heard about you. So I definitely want to work with you. When I got in there, it was a different thing. You know, I've had stuff said like, well, I think we was looking for a different direction, or we're looking for a different phase, or we have a different model that I don't think our clientele will kind of match with yours. But it's kind of like, okay, but you had a chance to review everything. I send everything up front. My admin sends everything up front. So now that we're face to face, it doesn't work. So one time I actually did let my admin go to a meeting, and when she sat there, it was a whole different story. And I was like, okay. So I just learned to work my way around it. And, you know, even she can be like, but see, my perception of white is not negative. My perception of white is based on the individual. It's not based on the race as a whole. I don't base it on the race as a whole, because I have met some great people who are white, who are Indian, who are Asian, and outstanding people. It is only select individuals. You have some good white people and you got some bad white people. You got some good Black people and you got some bad Black people. I know some great business owners who are Black, and I know some business owners, well, I don't really call them business owners because they're not really legit. They're just trying to get in, but they don't have the proper etiquette. They don't have the proper, you know, they don't have the mindset to understand that how you act when you with your friends is not the same as how you act when you're in a business meeting. They don't grasp that fact. So my reality based on white people is on the individual, that person, not as the race as a whole. Because I do have some white clients and we get along great. We get along great. And I have some that have been honest with me and told me that there are some business that just won't work with Black businesses. You know what I'm saying? So it's just, it is what it is. But I appreciate the honesty, though. I appreciate the honesty. You know what? I've been told that. Yeah, you know, that I might treat the white people better. No, how I treat my Black clients is how I treat my white clients. There is no difference. I don't see color. I see business. So when people try to call somebody a sellout, it's like, what am I selling out? What exactly am I selling out? I'm providing a service and a business, and I provide it to everybody. So for someone to say that I'm a sellout, you know, I'm my question to you, well, not to you personally, I'm not directing this towards you personally, but I have people say like, yeah, well, you know, you're selling out because you're working with the white people. Well, what do you want me to do? You know, so if you call me a sellout, what are you doing? Now, like I said, I'm not directing that towards you specifically, but to that person, it's like, okay, I have my own business. I'm trying to run my own little company. Now, I'm not no Fortune 500 company, but at least I'm doing something to help people out. It can be directed at anybody, at anybody, at anybody. Now, like I said, when you get to the racism part, that's another thing. I mean, but my perception of a white person, could it be directed at a black person? Depending on the situation, it probably could. But like I said, that's why I say I go by the individual. I go by the individual. Keep in mind, I am 49 years old. So I've had my experiences when I was in the Navy, where the first thing I was told when I got aboard my ship was I drop names now because I'm too old to play games. This guy named BM2 Miller told me, you know what? You might make me start to like black people because I thought black people were lazy and didn't work. Me, 19 years old in the Navy, I'm like, dang, so, okay, I'm processing this right now. And then when we were 7 years old, we lived I'm from Columbus, Georgia. And we used to play in these woods in the back of my grandmother's house. And these 4 white guys chased us. And I would be the one to get caught. Me and my cousin Teddy was just talking about this. And, we can laugh at it now. But, we was nigga this, nigga that, nigga this, nigga that. Don't come back here. We'll kill you. We'll string you up. We lynch you. Even when I took the director job at Oglethorpe University, the VP actually told me, sitting right there in front of HR, when I was doing my acceptance letter, okay? Because I was interning at first because they didn't know if they was going to hire out or just let me go ahead and go into the position since I had been filling that position for 6 months. She actually said, "Your status quo, and you were not my choice because I don't feel a person of color will be able to handle this position." The HR lady just looked at her, and I'm looking at the HR lady like, okay, we might have an issue. So I've had my share of racism and discrimination, but the way my grandmother raised me was don't judge everybody. Don't put everybody in one bundle. It was the past, but it doesn't mean that it's not relevant to today. The thing is, I don't let that affect my mind today to where I judge somebody. Some of them might. Some of them might. I mean, the black men that I know, they don't kind of go into that. And most, like I said, most of them are older like me. Now you do got some black guys that are like, that's kind of tough because when I think about like great grandparents, great grandfathers who probably raised their sons, they probably instilled a mentality in them based on how they were brought up, and they sort of passed that down. Whereas you might have a racist white great-grandfather who instilled that into his son, who instilled that into his son. You might have the opposite on the black side, where it's be more defensive. But I haven't seen black men prove white stereotype to be true on how they act. I haven't seen that. I'm not denying what you're saying. Me personally, I just haven't seen it. But keep in mind, I'm an introvert too. So I really don't hang out with people outside of business and all that. My friend count is literally 5. I can count that on one hand. So I don't really hang out like that. So yeah, I mean, I'm not down. It could be true, but I can't co-sign on that because I just haven't seen it myself. I haven't seen it, but I don't know. I mean, it's a tough conversation to have because you're going to have different viewpoints. You're going to have different ways of looking at things. And some people feel like black people are stuck in the past. Like they're stuck on slavery and they're stuck on the segregation and all that type of stuff. So some people feel like, oh, just let it go. The world is fine. There's no racism. There's no discrimination. None of that exists. white people love all black people, and all white people, you know, are happy and they want us here, and all black people are happy and they want to be here. So everybody just one big happy family with just, you know, some little blurred lines in between. So everybody sort of has a different picture of what they see. But I understand too that everybody comes from a different uh, so if we do go, all right, let's go with your point. So you're saying 60% of violent crimes are committed by black men. And okay, I'm America. Oh, in America. Okay. So, because are we talking about low income areas? Are we talking about just in general? Because those numbers are when people try to bring up the violent crimes created by black men. Because I think, now this is me personally speaking, I do feel that crimes by black men or in black communities, I think that is promoted more than anything else. I think the media pushes that narrative more. Now, not to say it don't happen, because I can't really say that's true or not, because that's normally data that's based on, you know, what's reported. And honestly, I don't believe that we always get the 100% truth out of all that, because you got crime, and you got crime everywhere. You got crime all over the place. So you will get the numbers that they give you. So it don't always mean that 60% is all black men. Yeah, but how many crimes are committed by white men? How many crimes are committed by white men? And if we're talking about crimes, are we talking about, I mean, we're sticking only to violent crimes? Are we calculating the total casualties of the crimes? Because when you think about crimes that deal in more mass killings, then you are talking about white men. So that's why I say it's like, when you're talking about violent crimes, how violent are we talking? Because I still don't believe that they actually share, they really push black crime. That's what's really being pushed. But you can't tell me that you don't have violent crimes by white people, because you rarely see it on the news unless it's something that's mass. If it's a mass killing, yeah. But other than that, you don't hear about it. But they quick to go to cities like Baltimore, Compton, Atlanta, DC, you know, cities like that. They are very quick to do it. Yeah. I mean, but the thing about it is, if you're saying 40 to 50% of white men commit crimes and 60% black men, it's not that far off. Then it's sort of about the same. But you're saying black men are still ahead as far as violent crimes, but how do you get this? I mean, here's my thing. I fail to understand, why is it that black men are constantly, we have to be the ultimate negative in every story. Every story, black men have to be the ultimate negative. We have to be. And it's like, nothing about a black man can be positive. Chadwick Boseman just passed away, and already they're kicking negative stuff. I'm just trying to understand. It's like, anytime black people try to push a positive narrative, we end up being negative. It's like there always has to be a counter to black people. Anything good about black people, there has to be a negative counter. And that was the whole point why I started talking about black businesses. It's like, why does everything black has to come with a negative? Everything. I mean, but who's reporting this? Who's reporting? Who's saying that 85% of black men can't read above a fourth grade level? That's what I'm saying. Like, who's reporting this? Okay, but does majority rules mean that it's right? You understand what I'm saying? Just because the majority agree on something, it doesn't mean that it's right. It doesn't mean that it's absolutely in stone that it's fair. I mean, that's the thing. Just majority rules mean right, or people agree. Are they agreeing that morally what they're doing is right, or morally what they're saying, or ethically? Or is it just this is what we agree on? I don't see. I those statistics. Now, I'm not doubting that there probably are some black men who can't read above a fourth grade level. So I'm really not doubting that. Now, the American Association of Education, me working at a university, that's suspect. That's suspect because I've seen the education system forward some stuff when they want to. They can make numbers, show and reflect what they want it to reflect. I mean, because I just find it hard to believe that everybody can dig up facts or statistics showing the negative side of the black community, but I rarely see people actually seek out information that is positive, that reflects something positive about the black community. Because think about it. If every time there's a discussion about black people in any fashion or any format, it always countered by the negative. And this is what our young people are saying. We can't just, early on, Mr. Holmes, he was talking about hip hop and how hip hop has a negative impact. But when are we going to get to the point to where that we start feeling social media, we start feeling the mainstream with more positive influence? I mean, because if we just keep throwing negative facts at our youth, nothing's going to change. I don't think blacks hate hearing the truth. I don't agree with that. Now, that I don't agree with. I don't think blacks hate hearing the truth. I think it's the way that the truth is portrayed. I think it's the fact that, black. Here's the thing. You know what? I never want to insult black people. I don't know what you consider yourself, but I don't like to insult black people. I don't like to, label. I understand that when it comes to the black community, there's a lot of mixed feelings. There's a lot of mixed feelings because I don't just do my business. I really try to work with a lot of youth. And one of the biggest things that I noticed about our youth is the fact that they feel confused. And when you say willfully ignorant, I think the thing is a lot of the black community, even when I came up, the education system didn't include me. So a lot of our black youth, a lot of our black older people were not educated about themselves. Now, we did one group to where we had some people that was from Africa, from Liberia, they was from Ghana. We had some people that were from Dubai, and just different cultures. And the thing that really came up that I noticed about the black people or African Americans from America was the fact that they felt out of touch. Because they felt like when they heard the other cultures talk about their history, when they talk about their cultures, they talked about their traditions, the black kids from America just kind of felt like they were left out because they haven't been educated on that, because they don't have that. Well, I think some people are trying to do better, but a lot of times people don't do much, but they complain a lot. I look at people's YouTube channels. When people make comments and stuff like that, first thing I do, if you are going to come at my social media, I go to your social media. And if I see that, okay, yeah, this person is posting stuff, they posting positive stuff, or even if they are trying to address an issue and they calling out, some of the things about black people, then I'm like, okay, at least they trying to bring stuff to the forefront. But a lot of people don't. A lot of people either feel like if I post something, then I might get labeled, I might get marked. Some people don't even want to deal with don't even want to have the discussion because some people can't. Like a lot of people, the conversation me and you having right now, if this was at a public forum where we had people sitting around talking, probably about 3 comments in, it would have been an argument. We wouldn't even be at the point we're at right now. We would not even be this far down the list because it would be a lot of arguing and yelling. So, people need to do better, but who? Everybody wants somebody else to do better, but nobody as an individual wants to start that train moving. Everybody wants to put it on somebody else. And see, like I said, I think a lot of them recycle what you call ignorance because that's all they know. That's all they know. That's all they know. Many blacks don't know about Fannie Lou Hamer. Many blacks don't know about James Baldwin. They take one little clip from Malcolm X. They really don't understand what Malcolm X was trying to say. Most people know Martin Luther King based on the I Have a Dream speech. They don't realize anything else beyond that. And people say, well, they're dead, they're gone. Yes, they are. But they laid a foundation for you to build on to help find who you are, what you believe in. So, a lot of times they just haven't been taught. So they're just rolling with whatever's been given to them, whatever's been shared with them. And that's what they're just taking through life because it's never stopped. We never had a cycle. Black people have always operated on the bicycle they was given, and they just keep riding that bicycle round and round. I think some of them do. I think it's a little deeper than that. I think some of them do. When I look at a person, I don't just look at the fact that you're black. So because you're black, you want to live in ignorance. Because you're black, you want to do wrong. I don't see it like that. I don't see it like that. I don't look at a person's skin color and just automatically assume that they want to live a life of negative. They want to live a life of doing wrong. Because to make that comment and say that that's what all black people want to do, that's kind of insulting. Because you have some black people out here that really are trying to change their life. They're not selling drugs. They're not robbing nobody. They're not killing nobody. They're going to work. Some of them are working 80 hours a week. Some of them are working 2 jobs. Some of them are still trying to raise their kids by themselves. You got single fathers, which people deny, single mothers who are out here doing the best they can. So I don't want to say that, black people or this whole generation is trying to do wrong, because when you start pushing all negative, like I haven't heard you say one thing positive that you see in the black community. So either you don't acknowledge black people or you don't acknowledge that there is intelligence, that there is hope, that there is strength in the black community. I mean, I don't know what your history or your past is. Maybe you had bad experience with black people, or maybe you just disassociate yourself from black people. Because sometimes, like you said, sometimes your reality of black people just may be negative. Like that's all you see is negative, But like I said, I don't just sit behind a computer and rant and complain. I work with black youth. I work with local organizations. So I actually interact with a lot of these young men and women who really want better for their life. They don't want to do crime. They don't want to sell drugs. They don't want to be in no gangs. They don't want to get caught up. They're actually trying to figure out, how can I not be my mother? How can I not be my father? How can I not end up like my brother? And a lot of people, all they do is talk. But these are young black men and women who are saying that they want to be something different. And I don't bring what you're bringing to them because they hear that all the time. Everything you're saying, they hear it on the news, they hear it from everywhere. But nobody ever tells them that as a black person, you don't have to be that person in the street. You don't have to be that person fighting. You don't have to be that person robbing, because all they hear is the stuff you're saying. Because what you say is probably what you teach others. Like, you know what I'm saying? Because if you can't find something, if you don't have anything that's positive, then how can you say that you're effective? Yeah, but what I'm saying is, like, you don't seem to. But see, even that statement is not true. You can't say black men, because you have men all over. You have men of all races that feel that that's just like that. And like I said, sometimes you got to look at a person's family history. I know, because everybody like to categorize black men. Black men are the only time we are ever spoken of as one is when there's something negative about all men across the world. Then all of a sudden, black men are catapulted to where we're like, if there's sexual harassment and sexual misconduct taking place, all of a sudden black men are elevated to that level too. But you can't just keep throwing black men as being all bad, because all black men, some black men do want to seek wisdom. Some black men do want to know more. But it's just unfortunate that, some people just get stuck to where they can't see a way out. You're not wrong. I mean, bro, I appreciate you saying what you're saying. You know what I'm saying? You're speaking how you feel and how you see it. And there's nothing wrong with that. You know what I'm saying? There's nothing wrong with that. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying I don't agree. You know what I'm saying? I just don't feel, 100% on board with what you're saying. I mean, because maybe I'm taking as you generalizing all black men, but you may just be referencing some. So I'm gonna put it like that. You may be referencing some. Now, when you say black people as a whole, okay, black people as a whole spend $1 trillion a year. No other race has the problem, but I'm wrong. Well, now you're talking about something different. That's totally different than what we were just talking about, bro. Now, I do agree. Now, this is my. Now, tell me what you feel about this. Now, if you think I'm right or wrong, I do agree that I think black people spend their money on some of the most wasteful things, especially when black people become rich, or successful. When you look at some of these celebrities and singers, the stuff they buy with their money, I'm just looking at, you got 14 cars, you got a house with 20 bedrooms, 80 bathrooms, 10 kitchens. I might be exaggerating a little bit on the bedrooms, but anyway, they buy all this stuff and they don't build with their money anything that can be passed down. Whereas I honestly feel like other races, when they do become successful, they actually use their money to like pass down to generation. Whereas black people sort of just live for the moment. They don't really set themselves up for their kids, their grandkids. I think Garth Brooks is a perfect example of that. Garth Brooks has been, since he started singing country music, he has been actually setting his money aside and, investing in businesses, so that he even said like his grandkids are going to be able to live off what he set up for his family. So I get that. Yeah, no, what I'm saying is, yes, okay. It does kind of sound like, I don't want to say you talking down. I don't want to say that, because I'm not denying what you're saying. But I just think that, we have to come up with a way that, yes, we may have some faults. Like, there are things going on in the white community. They got issues. Some of the same issues you mentioned about black people, white people got them. Indian, Asians, every race has these issues. But, you got to find a way to like make it so that, yes, you do come back with some stats that may be negative, but also you got to have some stats, man, that let it be known that, okay, this is not us overall. It's not every black person. No, it's not excuses. It's not excuses because, like I said, every race has the same problems. You know, blacks are mercenaries. Blacks are killers. Blacks have raped people. Blacks have shot people, or they have done drugs. White men, Asian men have all done the same thing. They are mercenaries, rapists, killers. So we are no different than any other race. We're not. But like I said, you know, every stat that you're showing, that you're quoting, brings up a negative factor about black people, which I'm not saying whether the stats are accurate or not. Like I said before, I don't know how accurate the stats are, but I know that these are what you're showing is the normal numbers that they push. So, like I said, you know, I mean, they're accurate because somebody posted them or an organization posted them. You know, it's like, but did they talk to every single black woman on this planet to come up with those numbers to determine that? How did they determine that? How did they determine that 75% of black women are single parent mothers and the white community doesn't have that problem? How did they determine those numbers? How did they come to those numbers to where they are 100% accurate? How can you believe, what information did they give you or that you see that actually established that those numbers confirm that they talk to every single black woman in this world? Okay. And so can white women. So can Asian women. Any woman can be 2 to 3 times likely to be a carrier in STD. Like I said, how do you come to that? I mean, like I'm saying, it's like you keep trying to say that is what you're trying to say is not really making. It's not really. Yeah, but how do you know? How do you know that? How do you know that other women are not 2 to 3 times likely? How do you know? How can you honestly say you know that? That's the thing. How do you know? You're basically going off what somebody else is feeding you. Yeah, you have no real. I live in Chicago. Come and go to an inner city, and you will see those stats be true, bruh. I'm from the ATL. You know what I'm saying? I'm from the ATL. Like I said, Detroit, Chicago, Atlanta, DC, Compton, any primarily black dominated city, they always push higher stats. Always. But what happened when you take those stats to a white community or a city that's not majority black? What are the stats for those cities? Like I said, I mean, or is that just for Chicago? Because you can't assume that everything said about black people is accurate based on what they're saying. Because they're gonna tell you what they want you to know. So some stuff you just have to take with a grain of salt because I mean, don't get me wrong. I don't think black people are without it. Like for me, I think Black Lives Matter is a joke. I think Black Lives Matter is the biggest scam. And there's some black and a lot of black people agree with me. They don't support Black Lives Matter. So some things black I agree with, some things black I don't. Okay, so you say white people commit 60%. I guess that violence supposed to be up there. So you're saying white people commit 60% of violent crimes in America? Okay, but you just said blacks. Oh, hold on. It's accurate. Oh, white people don't commit 60. Okay, I see what you're saying. Don't commit 60% of crimes in America. I don't know. Because I think those numbers, I don't know. Because I just think those numbers can be shaded. I really do. I really do. I think those numbers can be shaded. I just think they can be shaded. I mean, because like to me, I would like to see how they collect that data. How do you collect that data? You know, and where are they collecting that data? I mean, because just to put up random stats and say these is what we determine, I would like to see how and where they collected that data. Because numbers can be manipulated. And like I said, I don't deny the fact that yes, there is crime in the black community, especially in the communities where there is low income. So I don't deny that. It definitely does exist. No, I don't think blacks hold 1% of wealth in the USA. I think it's a little more than that. Just a little more than that. Yeah, I don't agree with that. I don't think blacks hold just 1%. I think blacks hold more wealth than that. I don't think it's just 1%. Yeah, and I never said that, so I don't know where you get that from. I don't think blacks just hold 1%. I think they hold more than that. It's more than that. So I don't know where you got that number from. Yeah, that's inaccurate. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, that I don't agree with that. I don't know. So, some of the stuff. I don't know. I wish I don't think you see how your stuff comes across. It's like I don't know. It's almost like you don't like black people at all. That's how you come across. I'm not saying that's how you are. I'm just saying it's like you just don't like black people at all. Well, I'm a grown man, bro. You know, if how I feel is what I believe is what I believe. You know what I'm saying? I just you're asking me to believe stats and stuff that somebody else has compiled and telling me that this is what it is. So basically, you're not using your own insight to look into things. I don't think it's the fact that black people want to set where they'll go wrong or what's their fault. I think some people are just sick of it. They're just sick of the whole thing. So they just kind of checked out. You got different classes of black people. Some black people are just tired of it. They just want to live their life. They don't want to deal with it anymore. Some feel like where they are is as far as they can go. So they got to do what they got to do. But, you know, I don't have the same mentality you do, or looking at a set of numbers on a piece of paper or on a web screen and saying, "Oh, so you're saying that all black people are like this?" Okay, so because you put it on the internet, yes, all black people are like this. I'm not that weak minded or that weakly influenced, so I just don't see it that way. I cannot categorize every black person, because if what you're saying is true, then you're going to commit a crime soon, or you have committed a crime or been in jail. So, I mean, because sometimes these profiles are fake, like the picture you got. You could be a white person posting all this stuff. I don't know. So, but no, it ain't about emotion. It ain't about emotion. It's just a conversation. Have you ever seen people talk about this issue? And you're saying that I'm getting too emotional? Have you ever seen people talk about this? Have you ever seen people hold a conversation about this same topic me and you talk about? They will be going at it from the very beginning. If you made some comments in the very beginning that some people just would have went off the top. But I'm listening to what you're saying. I'm reading what you're saying. I'm reading your comments and I'm reading what you're saying. And it is supposed to be a conversation. Yes, some things I will agree with and some things I won't agree with. And that's the point of being people. It's being able to have a discussion and, I can hear what you got to say. Or in this case, like I said, read. And I can say, yes, I agree, or no, I don't agree. Some of the things you said, I agree with. And I acknowledge there are problems in the black community. But I also acknowledge that there are problems in all communities. Okay, well, bro, if you feel I'm being too emotional, then go on, check out, man. You might want to find another one to watch, or I don't know. I don't know how you feel I'm being emotional, but to me, it's just a conversation. I don't know. I guess I'm supposed to sit here and agree with you and just post up more negative facts about black people. But I'm proud to be black. And I acknowledge the fact that our community has problems, that, my community, in which I'm a part of, the black community, has problems. But I'm not going to sit here and say that I don't believe that there is some positive aspects to our community. You can post 100 stats, 100 numbers up here of everything negative about black people you want on this Periscope, which is what you want. You can post all that you want, but my life, my heart, my mind, man, I am always going to find a way to be a factor that if I can change or help, like I said, when I work with the young black youth, I'm all about hearing what they got to say. How can I get you going in another direction? What is it that you want to do? And that's what we do. If I sat here and tossed at them, well, you know what, young man? 60% of black men commit crime. Look here, woman. 2 out of 3 of y'all black women in here are gonna have STDs. If you come at young black youth with all of that, without bringing something positive, without letting them know that, listen, you don't have to be a part of these alleged statistics that you are showing up, that they have alternatives, that they have a different way, and we have to start doing that because, well, you know what? I don't care. Whether you think I'm a sellout, I really don't care. All I care about is the people that I work with who are actually trying to be better. So for all of the young black men and black women that I work with, the parents that I work with, hey, as long as they see their child not going down the wrong path, not joining a gang, not selling drugs, staying in school, listen, as far as I'm concerned, that's a full paycheck for me. So, and I don't know what you mean, how you consider anything I said to be a sellout, because, and see, that's what I'm saying. Where I work at is in the hood. Okay. So the kids that I work with is in the hood. I'm not working in no suburban area. I'm working in the hood. We work in Baltimore. We work in Atlanta. We work in LA. We work in Houston. We are working with kids that are in low income housing, that are single homes. Now, here's the thing. What are you doing? What do you do? Let me learn something about you. Tell me what do you do? Because I hear a lot of people come on and say the things you're saying, but I see nothing that they're doing in the actual community. Now, I'm not picking at you. I'm just talking about in general. Because a lot of people, they come on social media, but they come on social media for likes. They come on social media, as another way of getting, get their, I don't know. Everybody wants to be an Instagram model or Instagram or YouTube famous and all that type stuff. So some people come on for that, but very few people, and I'm talking about people in general. I'm not just talking about black people, but very few people actually use these platforms to try to reach out, to try to connect to people. They, very rarely try to actually help. So whether you're trying to help everybody or whether you're trying to actually just work with a small group, some people. Hey, it's up to you. I mean, people have been bouncing in and out. You can stay, you can go. Like I said, and anybody who knows me, I always end my shows, these little live streams, the same way. I don't do this so I can get 1,000 people. I post it, people come watch it, they watch it. My hope is that they get something out of it. So I don't beg people to stay. I don't beg people to subscribe. I put my little marker right there. So if they want to come back and want to join more conversations, they can. But I don't beg people to stay in here. I don't beg people to follow me. I really don't. I'm not that type. I'm not making excuses for black people. I'm saying there's hope for black people. I'm saying there's hope. There's a way to push statistics, but you also got to push motivation. You also got to push positive influence, positive representation. If you only want to push negative influence, then what are you giving anybody you're talking to? Matter of fact, one of the people we work with, she's a real estate investor. She actually comes to our meetings and help train the kids on leasing and talks to them about buying property, selling property, kind of preparing them for when they get out of school. She goes over a lot of that stuff with them. So it all depends, man, on what you're trying to do. Like I said, I don't beg nobody to stay in my Instagram, my Yahoo, my YouTube, not well, Yahoo, but any of my social media platforms. I promote HBCUs. I work with HBCUs. I work with getting black kids, affiliated with understanding what it means to go to college, what college is going to benefit you, because a lot of kids are going to college and getting degrees and stuff they don't use, whatever. Well, that's a good, I don't know. Let me see. Hey, Kev, can you see that last comment? I think you might be able to answer that. Because he's a real estate investor. So let's see. Hey, I'm Kev. Can you see her question or his question? I'm sorry. I'm sorry if I got your gender wrong. It says, I don't got no house. I'm 31. Is it too late for me? Well, I don't know. I think Kev can answer this question better as far as buying property. There you go. Mm, you know what? Y'all trying to put Kev to work? Listen, a lot of that's I'm not into real estate. I know Kev is. I don't know if he wanted to answer any questions. As far as that, he said you can get a FHA loan for first time home buyer. Pool two, if you don't mind me asking, okay, you don't have to answer this, But what state are you in, if you don't mind me asking? Oh, you're in New Zealand. I don't know what the housing market is there. Oh, that's a good question, Kev. Let me put it up so she can see it. Home to live in. Yeah. No, you're fine. I mean, that's what it's here for. If you can get some answers to your questions that can help you out, hey, that's cool with me. You're not interfering in any way. I think it's just fortunate that I'm Kev was here. But he does have a good point though. Overseas does have different laws and regulations, so you may have to find somebody that's in New Zealand. What is this? What are you talking about? Mathematics, Bitcoin is the fastest horse in a race. Man, what are you talking about? Bitcoin? How you get the Bitcoin? Bitcoin wasn't even in our conversation. How you get? At least Poole had a legitimate question, man. What are you talking about, Bitcoin? Yeah, come on. Yeah, I thought we made peace, man. I thought we made peace. I thought we just bonded and helping somebody trying to get a house in New Zealand. Now you gonna turn on me? You gonna turn on me that quick? Yeah, come on, man. Come on. You gonna turn on me that quick? Bro, I thought we just bonded. Come on. Oh man, boy, I needed that laugh today, man. I've been laptop keyboard. I had to buy a remote keyboard to finish up my work, bro. I needed that lab website. Had to work on that. All right. Let's see. Oh, we finna go back at it. Bitcoin in Black America. No, I have not read that book. I have heard about it, but I haven't read it. Now that you say, I may look that up. Bitcoin in Black America. No, I haven't read that, so I'm not sure what's it about. Just give me like a quick thing because I haven't read it. What's it about? Kev, you heard about that book, Bitcoin in Black America? Say the wrong answer so I can come at you. You better have read it. No, but I haven't read that book. I have to look it up, see what it's about. And I don't know. I don't know if y'all. I'm not a fan for X Market. The only decentralized asset in history. I'm about to look it up. I might say it was a good book. It was something interesting. If it gives me wisdom, I'll read it. But yeah, no, I haven't read that book. Who wrote it? I don't even know who wrote that book. Now, as you can tell, Kev is all about facts on here, so it better be a book with Isaiah Jackson. Let me look it up real quick. I should have put it up so y'all can see it. The synergy between black economics. Yeah, I ain't never. Let me see. It looked like something I read. It looks interesting. I might check it out. Let me see. Let me see what they're talking about here. Let me see. Hmm. Yeah, I may have to. I'll check it out. I'll check it out. I'll get it and check it out. Well, you know what? I think there is some racism in the world, and in some cases, systemic racism. But I don't think every situation is always systemic racism because sometimes, you know, an employee is just bad and they don't want to, sometimes people don't want to acknowledge the fact that they're a bad employee. And I think in some cases, that's what it is. But I do believe that there's some systemic racism, but you can't blame it on everything. So can we go 50-50 on that one? Can we go 50-50? I do think there are some cases where people use that as an excuse, to why they didn't get a job or why they didn't get an interview. Okay, put it like this. Have you heard about what's his name? Dang it. On ESPN, Stephen Smith, the sports analysis. Cause dang, what's the dude name they just hired to be they just hired him for a head coach at some team. Dang, I think it's the Brooklyn Nets. Steve Nash. I think Steve Nash just hired to be a head coach. Stephen A. Smith said it's a case of white privilege and because of the system. Now, here's the thing. I don't think that that Nash getting hired as a head coach, because they're saying that, he didn't have any, he's a white person with white privilege. He didn't get hired because he didn't have the training, he didn't have the background. They made him the head coach. This is systemic racism. This is, that's why they hired Nash to be the head coach over a black person. And Charles Barkley came at Stephen A. Smith saying, you're wrong. Yeah, Nash is a good player. But Charles Barkley brought up a good point. Doc Rivers didn't have any coaching experience. So they're having coaches in the NBA who don't have the experience yet. Exactly. Thank you. I've never been a fan of Stephen A. Smith, but for him tried to push the fact that Nash got the job. Now, Nash was a great player. He got the job because he was white. And I'm like, how do you even come to that conclusion? How? Because you saying that he don't have any coaching experience, but there have been other black coaches who didn't have coaching experience, but they end up coaching. Magic Johnson didn't have coaching experience. He was a good player, but yet he was a coach for a little while. You see what I'm saying? Stuff like that makes me mad when you try to, if it's real racism, I don't have a problem. If it's real systemic racism, I don't mind you calling it out. but don't call out systemic racism for something that's not because you want attention. And and ever since he made that comment about the dude that got shot in Florida, the kid that got shot with the hoodie, he been trying to get back in and make all these stupid comments. And then Terrell Owens told him that Max Kellerman was more black than he is. So he really been saying more stupid stuff since then. Yeah, Charles Barkley can say some off the wall stuff too sometimes. But I'm like, sometimes you just got to be careful about that when you start making accusations, Oh, dang. Come on, Kel, come on. Here we go. Listen, white privilege is not a lie. I'm sorry. I can't roll with you on that. White privilege is not a lie. Now, I don't think every case where a white person got a job or advanced in life or achieved something was based on white privilege, but white privilege is not a lie. Now, we come on now. That there is some white privileges. There are some things that some white people are privileged to. Come on. You got to admit that. You got to admit that there is white privilege in some cases. Oh my God. Come on, man. Good. Bruh, for real, bruh. Come on, bruh. For real. For real. Okay, I think you and your emotions now. Now I'm gonna say it. I think you and your emotions now. Come on, bro. I think you and your emotions now. Come on. You gotta admit that you gotta admit, or at least acknowledge that there is the possibility of white privilege. But I think sometimes it's used too much. It's put out there too much when it shouldn't be. Come on now. Oh, he got money. See, that's the difference, though. Okay. See, now you bring up a good point. Now, here's the thing. When you have money and you're rich, okay, here's the thing. When you got money, like when you're LeBron James, when you're Kobe Bryant, when you're a celebrity and you're black and you're rich, or if you're just rich in general, regardless of your color, you do have privilege based on money. It's not on skin color. See, if I owned a restaurant and let's say, Kalita Smith or Michael B. Jordan or some big name celebrity wanted to eat in my restaurant, I don't care about their color, because the fact that they sat at one table and people see them coming in there, or I get a reputation for celebrities coming to my restaurant, I'm not looking at color, I'm looking at money. It's like when Michael Jackson or who was it? Madonna, like this one hotel, they charged extra for that room for the simple fact that Michael Jackson once slept there, or a big celebrity stayed in that room. So that's money. That's not about privilege. It's about, financial privilege. That's what that is. A person more attractive looking has more privilege than the next person. What did I say? A person more attractive looking has more privilege than the next person. A slimmer has more. What? Kind of confused on that one. Yeah, but looks can get you privilege. If that's what if I'm reading you right, I don't want to misquote what you're saying, but if I'm understanding you right, looks. I mean, think about it. An attractive woman can get privileges. If you got one woman that's attractive and people think she a 10 versus somebody else who, may be a little more heavy set or may not be fully developed, yeah, she'll probably get more attention, more privileges. So I wouldn't doubt that. It's that's just a fact. Women get more discounts when they go in certain stores, especially if there's a man working behind the counter or a man helping them, because a man is going to go out his way. So yeah, I mean, I can relate to that. Uh, Sort of, but I still, I got to stick to my gun on this one now. I got to stick to my gun. I still think in some cases, not all, in some cases, that a white person does experience white privilege because of their color. But I think it depends on where they go. Like, I'm from Georgia, and there are certain parts of Georgia to where you do still have that old mentality to where they won't bother you, but you can tell it's like you're not wanted. Like when I went to Rennes, Georgia. Now, it's a small town, it's an old town, but it was a couple of places that kind of let you know, like, this ain't the place for you. So it kind of depends. Yeah. You were pretty. I mean, that's like if you join the alphas or if you join the what do you call it? What's like, if you join one of the Divine Nines, or if you're a Mason, or if you're like a policeman, or because I've seen police officers catch another police officer and let them go. If you're a firefighter, you're gonna get privileges. If you work in a hospital, and you go to the hospital, you might get privileges. But I still say that outside of that, there is a little sector of this country to where being white does have its privilege. And it's not based on the fact that you got money or that you're a celebrity or that you're part of a network. It's based on your color. So I do think that that does exist, but I don't think every case when that is called out, it applies. People say it for jobs. And my thing is, when somebody comes to me and say, I didn't get this job because I'm black, first thing I ask them is, well, tell me, what did you say at the end? What was the interview questions? What did you wear? And sometimes they look at me crazy, like, why are you asking all that? Because it makes a difference. If you went to an interview and you're wearing a business suit, if you went to an interview and you dressed professional, did you look at their company website? Did you research the company, their mission? Did you really research what the job you're applying for? So when you went in there, you can speak and articulate yourself in a way that the company, that guy doing the interview or that woman doing the interview can see you as someone being knowledgeable about the company and as a part of the company versus you as somebody just walking off the street, saying you want a job, but you're not reflecting yourself in a personal way in any way. Trust me, I'm like I said, I'm not denying it. Because I was hiring for a position a few weeks ago, and it was a black dude. And when he came in, he had on flip-flops, he had on shorts. Like I said, I don't deny that we got problems. But when somebody want a job and when somebody just going through the motions, But unfortunately, I had to interview him. But anyway, that's a whole nother sad story right there. Well, I agree. You're right. I think it was a lot of white privilege when you think about back in the 1920s, 30s. I mean, all the way up to the 1960s, going into the 1970s, there was white privilege at an extreme level. So there has always been a white privilege. But I think as more civil rights acts start to come up, as more equality laws start to come into place, some of that sort of got pushed away. So some of it kind of went away. But my thing is, it's just, it may have just taken on a different form because things evolve. So it may have taken on a different form. Like, here's an example right now. Right now, we're working with a company to where they're looking into one of the company's having problems with their employees. And the problem they're having is they have one manager who is white, and they are hiring people, but he is only promoting white people. Like they're hiring for campus police officers. White people he are promoting to campus police officers. The black people have not been offered the same training. They have not been offered the same opportunity. Like I said, this is one individual. And the problem is there are like 8 to 10 reports about them feeling, left out, like them feeling discriminated against. And me personally, when I read it, one thing I look for is accuracy. And in reading the reports, I'm like, there are some red flags here. And I'm just kind of wondering, my question was, why did you guys not look into some of the documentation that should have been provided regarding these trainings? Exactly. And everybody that he's overlooking is a minority. And because a couple people have said that he actually told one of the other supervisors actually came up and he had a recording, which technically you can't do. But he had a recording where he actually said that he would not hire anybody with an accent. He doesn't want employees with an accent. So employees with accents have been given some of the harder tasks. Unfortunately, they had a lead officer who was documenting every single thing. And they were saying, like, they don't seem to think that it's discrimination. And we're just consulting. We're just consultants. And we was looking at this stuff like, you guys are headed for some serious problems if you don't address this issue. You got guys who've been working at that company for 6-7 years, spotless employee record. They met all the criteria in training, and you got guys coming in here who just started 2 weeks ago, who are going to this training, not even proving themselves worthy, but you got loyal employees that you're overlooking, and all of the white employees are getting Monday through Friday. All of the black employees or employees in color are being scheduled for the weekend and late nights. Like, yeah, see, stuff like that. Yeah, but see, that's the thing about it, though. That's why I say every time something is said white privilege, it's not white privilege. But when you look at that situation, everybody that he promoted to the campus police officer position were white. Just got on the job, and they were white. They just came in and were being promoted. Everybody of color was not. They were not even offered those trainings. They were not even offered the opportunity. So why did he offer all of the white people those opportunities? And some of them had actually, what do you call it? Complaints filed against them. And some had written reprimands and write-up about their behavior with faculty and staff. So it's like, how do you promote somebody that you got complaints about that's a bad employee, but you're overlooking the other employees? But the white employees you're pushing forward. I mean, but you got white companies that refuse to hire black employees. I told you what the VP said to me. And she was open about it right there in front of HR, that she did not want a black person as the director. And like I was saying, it was only 2 directors for the whole college. Only 2 of us. Yeah, sometimes it works, sometimes it don't. What I found out is that a lot of black people are not educated on how to document. They think that you can just report it and everything's going to be fixed, but it's a deep process to actually trying to establish discrimination or, anything like that, indirect discrimination. All that stuff is tough. So I think it happens, but I don't think it happens as much as people say. Sometimes you just, yeah. It is. Once it happens, you're done. You're done. But the problem is, is getting it to happen. That's the key. I mean, that's the key to it. Because I've seen people try to scream, white privilege and discrimination. I'm like, no. When they tell me the story, because you can't just listen to what they first say. You gotta go into details. And I'm like, no, that's not discrimination. That's not white privilege. That's not racism. And in some cases, I've heard people tell me stories, and I'm like, okay, yeah, that's definitely in line with what you're saying. But some people, they just go tell people that they didn't get the job because of this, and they leave out all the other facts. I do agree with you. Now, I'm not disagreeing with you. I don't think you can use systemic racism as a way to and that's the thing. Social media right now is exposing a lot of stuff, and people are using social media for everything. I mean, you see what's going on with the police. Every time somebody gets pulled over by the police, they're pulling out their cell phones and camera, and they're not just recording it. A lot of people are going live. Because, like you said, like nowadays, technology is different. You can sit there with your phone on, and you can actually be live filming what's going on. So I think it changes things in a way to where people have to be more conscious about what they say, how they act, what they do. Yes, some of the stories are fabricated. I have noticed that. Because whenever somebody posts a video and they're saying, look how this police treated me, or look what this person did in the store, my thing is, this is the first thing. When I look at the video, I'm like, okay, when did the video start? Did the video start 15 minutes or 5 minutes into the conversation to where you're now just recording them? What happened in the first 4 to 5 minutes, the initial contact? You know what I'm saying? It's like, show me that led to where we are right now to what you're posting. Because if you can't show me, because if you walked up to that counter and you made a comment and just kept going at it until it elevated to that situation to where that person is now really getting emotional and letting their feelings out, I need to see the whole video. I need to see the whole video. Police encounters. I don't. That's a tough one. Like if you take George Floyd, like to me, that whole situation could have been resolved. All it would have took was just one of those officers. I mean, going over there and saying, "Hey, put him in the car." Because the more videos came out, it was kind of like, in that case, the officers they could have just positioned him in a way to where somebody could have just tapped that one cop, hey, get your head up, take your knee out of his neck, put it in his back. Just move back. There's sometimes they can de-escalate the situation better than what they do. And I think, me personally, one of the things I would like to see is that when cops respond to calls, that if it's a call to where they are in an intense situation, or they're in a situation to where, their adrenaline is going, that they be taken out of service for like 15 to 20 minutes. Now, that's going to mean hiring more cops to cover that cop that's been taken out of service. But at least that gives them time to kind of settle down, calm down, because sometimes it's just, I understand their job, But this happened outside the car. It's what happened outside the car when he was laying on the ground. If he was having breathing problems, they should have just called 911 from the jump. Just call 911. Put him in an ambulance, send him to the medical. That way they can either strap him down if they need to. He's in a hospital, he's getting medical care. So that's why I say I think a lot of it is just maybe updating their training procedures, maybe But in some cases, I've seen people just acting a jerk with the cops, and then I've seen the cops kind of act jerkish myself. Yeah, laying him on the ground is fine. The issue was the knee on the back of his neck. That was the thing. It was just the knee on the back of his neck. But still, like I said, if you got somebody that say they're having trouble breathing, 911 it. That's it. Well, they already got none. But call for medical. Call for medical. Just call for medical. Cops are not trained to deal with stuff like that. I mean, they can do CPR, but call for paramedics. Call for paramedics. I saw the full video. But my thing is, yes, you laid him on the ground. Instead of putting your knee on the back of his neck, just do something. Oh, no, not all the way throughout. Now, there was one part where he was, but it wasn't the whole thing. But the thing about it is, see, you're missing my point. My point is, when he was on the ground next to the car, his head by the wheel of the car, he was on the ground. The cop had his knee on the back of his neck. None of that other stuff even matters. Take your knee and move it to the upper part of his back. You had him pinned against the car. Just maneuver your knee so you're not on his neck. That would be my thing. Because you got people resist all the time. It's the whole knee, the knee. My thing is, how could you avoid the situation? Take your knee off his neck. You wouldn't have had none of those riots. None of that stuff would have been going on. The second he said he was having difficulty breathing, call for paramedics to come check him out. It was fault on both sides. I'm not saying that George Floyd was right. Even when that situation happened in Minnesota with the guy, I can't remember his name. Was it Minnesota? Where the guy went inside the store and stole like some candy or something. And then I guess down the street, there was no cameras, but he got into a fight with the cop and the cop shot him. And it was back and forth about what happened. My thing is, if he wouldn't have stole the candy, he probably wouldn't have got shot. If he wouldn't have stole something. So, I don't assume that every cop is bad. I don't assume that every black person is right. But I don't assume that every cop is right in their actions and every black person is bad in their actions. I like to see what happened. I like facts on what happened. Okay, yes, comply, but I'm not. But here's the thing. Yes. Okay. I think you're looking at circumstances. I'm looking at once the situation is done and he's on the ground. He's on the ground. To keep everything that from happening, what's the deal with moving your knee 5 inches back? Even me as an ex-cop, when I saw the video with him on the ground, I was like, he need to move his knee back. Somebody should have told him to move his knee back. You can leave him on the ground. The problem is their procedures. The protocols just need to be updated. It just need to be updated so it protects the cops, but it also protects the citizens. Because you got to remember, as a cop, once you make an arrest, that person is your responsibility. When you detain that person and handcuff them, it's your responsibility. No, he didn't die from the knee, but it contributed to it. See, that's the thing you got to think about. The knee contributed to it. When somebody tells you, I can't breathe, call for paramedics. Call for paramedics. Because we are trained that once you put handcuffs on a person, they are your responsibility. So you have to be mindful. Even when you handcuff a person, you have to be careful how long they're in handcuffs, how tight the handcuffs are. So there are things that we are trained that we are supposed to recognize. Their protocol should have been when he was sitting in the back of the car saying, I can't breathe, call for the paramedics to come check him out. If he was on something, all that type stuff, which I'm not disputing whether he was on drugs or not. The fact is, a lot of that could have been prevented if smarter decisions would have been made on both sides. So, I mean, I get what everybody's saying. Yeah. Yeah, but people still have to have there still has to be some surveillance, humane way of doing things. You know, I've seen I've never defended George Floyd. I've never defended him. I never said he was right. My thing is protocols need to be changed. Protocols need to be better. I never said that he was right or he was innocent or he was just in the situation of the black tennis player in New York that was standing against the wall. He just walked outside of the hotel. He was standing against the wall. He was on his cell phone. He was a professional tennis player. 3 undercover cops ran, threw him on the ground, started punching him, trying to get his hands behind his back without identifying him, without even knowing who he was. Later, the chief tried to come and issue an apology saying it was a case of mistaken identity. The person they was looking for wasn't even wearing the same clothes he was wearing. So I'm not trying to defend him or say he's right or, you know, he was just good model citizen or anything like that. It's just the fact of the matter is stuff like that. You know, I don't know these people when this stuff happens. I don't know, you know, them. That's why I say I like to see the whole story. I don't judge their character because I don't know their character. I look at what could have been fixed and what shouldn't have been fixed. You know, what was who, because it's always a case that people can do things better on both sides. Always. You know, because I've been pulled over and I thought it was crap. You know, I had a cop pull me over in Maryland. It was a Montgomery County police. He pulled me over and I was actually going to work. And he was just like, where are you going? I said, I'm going to work. And he just looked, I need your ID. Had my hands on the steering wheel, gave him my ID. He went back to his car. Then another cop came and walked up to the window. And he was like, yeah, you got Georgia plates. I said, yes. I said, I'm not from here. I said, we're here just doing consulting. He was like, oh, okay. He said, I guess he told you why you was pulled over. I said, actually, no, he didn't tell me why I was pulled over. He just looked at me. Then he walked back to the car, said something to the other guy. He hopped in his car and went. And the other cop came back and was like, yeah, I guess I didn't tell you why you was pulled over. Yeah, your tail light looks dim. Here's your license. And he walked off. I said, excuse me. I said, is it out? He's like, no, it just looked like it's dim. And he went and got in his car and pulled off. I got outside my car, got my camera, took a picture, and I took my car to the auto shop the next day and asked them to verify. And they was like, I said, well, I got a warning. And I showed them the ticket. He says, my tail light looks dim. He said, what do you mean it looks dim? I said, that's what I was told. He said, there's nothing wrong with it. He said, if you want to wipe your plate off, maybe some of the dust. He said, but it's not even dirty. He said, I'm not understanding. He said, we can replace the bulb for you. He said, but you're going to have the same brightness. It's not going to be different. That bulb is perfectly fine. I said, okay. I said, just go ahead and replace it anyway. I should have did it myself. I would have saved about $40. But, you know, I think it just depends on the officer. And it just also depends on the person that they're dealing with. Some people are compliant. Some people are not. You know, I understand there's frustration on both sides. Not necessarily. See, it's not always about pulling you over to give you a ticket. It's not always about giving you a ticket. Because see, here's the thing. When you pull a person over, it's not always to give them a ticket. It's to get them in the system. It's to get them in the system. Because every time you run a plate, now that's logged into the computer system for the police department. See, they can see if that plate's been ran because now it pops up. So now they can just, when you drive somewhere, they can get behind you. Oh, okay, we ran this. We ran this. They was in this location this day. So it's not always about giving a ticket. It's a bigger thing than that. It's not, everybody thinks it's about getting a ticket. No. Sometimes they're just fishing. It's not always about a ticket. Sometimes it's fishing. They're looking for something. They're hoping to find something. So it's not always about getting a ticket. That's not the case. And I think that's why some people overreact, because they think when they get pulled over that the officer wants to get them a ticket. Really, they don't want to write a ticket. That's not the objective. They don't want to write you a ticket. What they really want to do is they're hoping that you got something that they can find grounds for suspicion. That's what they're hoping for. That they can see anything that's going to say, okay, we got ground for suspicion to do this. So that's what they want. It's not about a ticket. You're missing the point. Because it doesn't fall off. It doesn't fall off at all. I don't know why people think that. Are you talking about a charge? Because that's something totally different. It doesn't fall off. Because they're not charging with anything. They're fishing for something. Which one am I on? They're looking for probable cause. That's it. You're not understanding. I'm not talking about a ticket. And you say you in Chicago? Part of Chicago you from? I got people in Chicago. I'm starting to question your Chicago-ness. How many times you been pulled over for your tail light looking dim? It's like I say, there's good cops, there's bad cops. It's like I said, you got to understand something, man. There's good cops, there's bad cops, there's good black people, good white people, bad white people. I mean, it's a run of the mill. When you get pulled over, it just depends on who the cop is. Just like when a cop pulls over a person, it just depends on who the person it is. You know, they might pull over a person that's cool and calm. Like, hey, I know I ran that red light. I've actually ran a stop sign and a cop. I was in Frederick and I pulled up to the stoplight. Now there was the lane I was in was for turning left, and there was two stoplights above the lanes I was in. Two police cars was in the lanes next to me, and those were for keeping straight. I saw their light turn green, and I was like, oh, I can go. And I turned, not realizing that, no, my light was still red. Now, the two cops came behind me, and when they did, they pulled me over. I'm like, oh, they're going to go get somebody. Let me pull over. When they pulled over behind me, I was like, crap. So I put my hands on the steering wheel and waited. He came up. He's like, everything okay? I said, yes, sir. I said, I'm just going to the gym. And he was like, okay. He said, you know, you ran a red light. I said, sir, but the light turned green. He's like, no. He said, I think you were looking at our lights. He said, you're in where the lane you were in, there are two separate lights that's above. I was like, crap, I can't get mad because he was right. When I look back to my little rearview mirror, well, my side mirror, I could see that there were two lights in the lane I was in. I didn't get mad. I didn't get an attitude with him because I was wrong. I was wrong. So he was like, listen, he said, I saw what happened. He said, I don't think you did it intentionally. He said, look, just drive careful, make sure you pay attention, and have a good workout. I went to the gym and they went on their way. So it's not all cops, but you do have some cops out there that are bad. And sometimes people got to stop. You know, you can't be so black hating that you don't recognize the fact that there are problems with other people. That's why I say you got some good cops, you got some bad cops. Some cops are crooked. Some cops really do have a anger issue, or maybe they just mad at their wife, and when they come to work, they take it out on the people that they pull over. Some cops, man, are just, listen, I just want to do my job and go home. You know, they're going to give you a ticket or let you go. Some black people, some white people, some Asian, Indian, whoever, you know, when they get pulled over, they cool like I was. Some of them are just jerks and deserve to get a ticket and still don't. So it just depends on the individual. It depends on the individual. It's not about cops. It's the individual. It's the individual. You do got cops out there that don't like blacks. You do got all type of situations. You know, you can't, you know, you seem to think that every time I try to recognize the fact that there are some good white people, good black people, good white cops, good black cops, or, you know, that is denying the fact that there's a problem. No, I'm not denying the fact that there's a problem. What I'm saying is people are different. People are different. It's just like you. If you were with your friend and you saw your friend raping a woman and you did nothing, you did nothing. Matter of fact, he was like, let's go back to your house. So then you go back to this house. This woman is raped, is on the news. You know he did it, but you don't say nothing. You saw it, you know, and you didn't intervene. Are you bad or are you good? Are you a good person with a good heart who took care of your friend? Well, we just got to agree to disagree. We're not going to agree on that. Some cops protect us, some cops do. Some cops do have an issue with certain groups of people. They do. So it is what it is. It is what it is. You know, ain't nothing you can do about it. The reality, it's like you're ignoring the reality. It's like your reality is black people are perpetrators. That's how your reality comes across. Like all black people are perpetrators. I have yet to hear you say one thing. One thing. You haven't even made one suggestion or even acknowledge the fact of one thing that could be done that could fix things. Or acknowledge one aspect of the black community that's working to change things. You know who you remind me of? Dang. Oh my God. Hold on. Candace Owens. That's who. Candace Owens. You and Candace Owens would be really good friends. You and Candace Owens, you know what? You and Candace Owens, y'all two have a good conversation. Were you mad that she didn't get invited to the Republican Party to speak? Because she was mad, boy. She was really mad. Were you mad too? You mad Candace didn't get to speak? I knew it. 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 No, but real talk, Candace Owens, she does speak facts. I just think it's sometimes the way she comes across. Because, you know, I've never denied the fact that she does do her research. She really does. But I think the issue that a lot of people have with Candace Owens is that she sees nothing positive when it comes to the black community. She's always shooting knives at the black community, and you got to balance it out. You got to balance it. You can't always be throwing knives. Sometimes you got to be able to see that there's good. There's good. So you like Trump. You're a Trump supporter. I knew it. I knew it. Okay, so you say the positive aspect is so small and isn't the problem. Well, what if the problem was the positive aspect is so big that it can help resolve the problem? Because many black people are not being shown that there is a positive aspect. What if more people were able to be influenced by the positive aspect of the black community? What if that became the new push? What if that became the agenda, was to push the positive aspect of what is possible versus what is labeled? Because that's what is taking place right now. It is so easy to label. But how do you know that, though? Why aren't you pushing the positive aspect? Try it. Have you even tried pushing the positive aspect? Have you ever tried pushing the positive aspect? I mean, seriously, have you tried pushing the positive aspect? Like, do you work with any of the communities? Do you use your talents, your skills? I mean, do you actually try to work with people? You're a real estate investor. Do you ever just work with some type of organization to say, hey, you may have people that might be looking to invest or wanting to establish another means of income. Let me share my knowledge. Let me share my experience. Let me share, what I know, to give them another option. That's what I'm saying. It's like, what are you offering? What are you doing? I understand you got your career, mad respect, you know what I'm saying? Salute. I always respect that. But the thing about it is, what positive influence aspect are you pushing? So they see there's a difference. I mean, because the stats you posted up here, anybody can find that online. It's on the news. It's everywhere. But you know what I found out, though? Because I used to think that, I'm going to be honest with you, I really did used to think that I could not be an influence to people, to kids, because I work with mostly teenagers. We work with everybody from, it's broken up into like two groups, because it starts from age 7. So you got 7 to 11, then you got 12 and older. And I really thought that, yeah, I had to be rich, I had to be famous, but I really found out that just from now, this is my personal experience, okay? My personal experience with the kids that I work with is that the reason they do gravitate towards people in the streets is because they primarily reach out to them first. They reach out to them first because other people who got businesses or other people don't reach out to them. If they don't have a mother at home, or they don't have a father, or they don't have a family member, or some kids, we got are foster kids. So they feel like the only people they can relate to are the people that, are out there in the streets, like the drug dealers. They think that's the way to go. They think that's the way to live. No, I don't believe that. I don't think it's embedded. It's not embedded. It's not embedded. I think a lot of them are being influenced by people like Cardi B, Megan Thee Stallion, especially the young women. I think they're being influenced by it, you know, because we don't have the people who are in a position to really influence these kids. Unless you're gonna pay them money, they're not coming to do it. They're not coming to spend time. I mean, just imagine if let's take LeBron James is one of the biggest people right now. Just imagine if just took an hour, 3 days a week, and go and speak to different groups of kids, the influence that would have. It's funny to hear people say how some big celebrity spoke to them that made a difference in their life, but yet they don't do it back. So I don't think it's embedded. I really don't think it's embedded. But what is black culture? What is black culture? Tell me, what is black culture? What's black culture? Define black culture. Because, in my opinion, we don't have a culture. We adopt. We adopt what we think is fitting. When you hear of other um, people talk about their culture, when black people talk about culture, we're talking about hip hop, we're talking about music, we're talking about dance. Other races are talking about legacy, tradition. So what is black culture? And everything black, all things black culture that's used to describe black culture is not something as black people we define as black culture. I think the millennials have adopted black culture, but it's not really black culture. So, like I said, I always tell people if you're not actively out there in the hood, in the neighborhood, in the communities, then don't complain about it. Don't complain about it. If you're not actively participating, actively trying to make a change, I can see if you worked in a neighborhood or you worked in a community center for years and you tried to institute change and you got fed up, then I could say, okay, I understand your frustration. But people who are frustrated and do nothing, contribute nothing, other than I run my own little thing, it's my own little world, and I'm gonna tell you everything wrong with your world. At some point, you have to recognize the fact that either you're on the sidelines or you really do want to influence. My thing is influence just one. I'm not. I don't associate myself with that. I'm not trying to be the black church. I'm not trying to be the black community. I'm trying to be one person. My thing is inspire just one. I said at the end of every podcast I do, I said at the end of every Instagram, every YouTube video I make, inspire just one. If I can inspire just one person, I'm good. It ain't got to be at the moment. I don't even have to know it. Any content I post, I just hope that if one person sees it, if only one person watches my video, that it gives them some hope. It let them realize that they don't have to be what the world says they are. They don't have to be what statistics say they are. They don't have to be what anybody says they are. They can determine their fate. They can determine their destiny. They can determine what they want to do and who they want to be. So, for people who are not actively out there, I'm not trying to inspire the masses. I'm not trying to. I never said that. I said inspire just one. I'm not trying to inspire the masses. I'm trying to inspire whoever will listen. That's it. I ain't trying to force nothing down your throat. I ain't trying to force nothing down your throat. I listen to what you say. I'll tell you my thoughts. And, we agree or we disagree. Yeah, I can't make people do what they don't want to do or be who they are or become somebody better. It's up to them. It's up to them to do that. But at least I can say I offered some guidance. I offered some instructions. Everything I do is based on the mistakes I made in my life. I've always shared my mistakes, things I've done wrong, bad relationships, business. When I first, even when I talk about business, starting the business, I tell everybody the mistakes I made, from the logo, from the name I chose to my location. I mean, I share all of that because that's my thing. That's my thing. And see, and that's the problem too. Everybody talk about, well, one person doesn't impact everybody as a whole. It ain't always about that. So, I'm not out here trying to be no grand speaker for the entire world. I'm trying to be me. I do me. And whatever I get, if I can give back, I do. That's me. I give back. I care about my community. I care about how Black women are spoke about and treated. But I care about humanity as a whole. But do I care, more that I want to interact more where I see needed in the Black community? Yes, I do. But that's me. I don't expect everybody to believe what I believe or feel what I feel or support what I do. That's me. Well, if they're pointless, they're pointless. But at least I can say I tried. Whenever God calls me off this earth, when God says, Reggie, your time is up. You're done. Come on home. At least I can say I tried. Whether anybody's life was changed or impacted for the better, at least I can feel good that I tried to offer hope in life. And I mean, I pray with people. I talk to people. I tell them, we sometimes we'll sit down and we'll talk about the Bible. We'll find scriptures that help people, But like I said, that's me. If just one person can grow from it, I'm not trying to be a Martin Luther King. I'm not trying to be this, great leader of the Black community. I'm trying to be Reggie. I'm trying to be Reggie and who I can help, who I can give advice to, who I can share. If they went through something similar that I went through, I'll share it. I'll share it. You got a kid right now who went through an abuser, who mother abused him. He's struggling. He connects with me because I understand. I went through the same thing. So if that's the only person that ever looks up to me or the only person that ever listens to me and say, okay, I'm hoping that at the end he'll be able to say, you know what? He made it through it. So can I. I don't have to turn to drugs. I don't have to turn to the streets. I can go to school, get my education, and I can create my own career and be successful. That's me. I'm not looking for fame, fortune, and wealth. I don't need that. That's not what I'm about. I don't get mad at somebody if I never get mad when somebody doesn't adapt my way. Well, not adapt my way. I don't get mad when I work with a young person and they go astray. I don't get mad. I don't give up on them either, but I understand that there's only so much I can do. And I don't get mad when people agree with me. I haven't got mad with you one time. I haven't gotten upset one time. Because to me, this is a conversation. We just got different points of view. You see the black race as hopeless. I don't. You look at the Black masses as all being criminals and all this, and I don't. We just see We just see total different spectrums. Total different spectrums. I can acknowledge the fault and flaws, but even if I do share the faults and flaws, I never leave that as my only point of reference, because that's not the only point of reference. You know, I can preach all day of 60% of black men are violent criminals. Is that what I want to teach young people? That there's 60% of men who are violent, who commit violent crimes, and you're going to be one of the next 60% of men who commit violent crimes. Why would I want to preach that to young people? You can tell them the facts. You can share the truth. You can share the statistics that have been put out there. But the ultimate goal is, what is your objective behind doing that? What is your objective of always throwing out negative facts? What is your objective of going against seeing young black men and black women see that there's a light at the end of the tunnel? Are you trying to keep them in that mindset? Because if that's what you're trying to do, then that's what you're trying to do. But I'm working on a whole different spectrum that you're working on. Because if you're trying to if you feel like telling them the truth of how bad they are, or how this world is so bad that this is where you're going to end up, then you're sending them down that line. You want them to maintain that mindset. I want them to understand where they came from. I want them to understand the situation of where we are now, but I want them to know that they don't have to be a part of that. They don't need to be a part of the prison system. They don't need to get in. They don't need to get in that system in order to succeed. They don't need to sell drugs. They don't need to get out here and be part of a gang or rob people or do any of that type stuff. I mean, how long can we keep pushing the same old narrative of how bad black people are, how negative black men are, how black women can't keep black men? I mean, it's like a ongoing cycle that people are pushing, but nobody's doing anything to change. That's your masses. That's your masses. You can't speak for who I interact with. You can't speak for an entire nation of black people. You can only speak about your mindset, what you see, how you feel. Because have you spoken to every black person? I mean, how do you know this? How many black people have you sat down and had this conversation with? How many black people have you really sat down and had this conversation with? I mean, who? I mean, 70 million followers. And there are people on here who've got Suri Noel has 182 million followers. What's 70 million followers? Half the people that follow people on social media don't even interact with them. Half the people that follow people on social media really don't care. Half the profiles are fake. They're meaningless. Half these social media profiles are just somebody trying to pretend to be something that they're not. And that's the truth. You got 70 million followers. And what? And what? What comes from your 70 million followers? What are you doing with it? You got 70 million followers. And what does that? First of all, I'm not a Cardi B fan. Second, I didn't even watch that interview. I can't stand to hear her talk. And third, you know, you're talking about Biden with Cardi B. You got the same thing. Trump has black people just I mean, they all do that. It's a political game. Shoot, Kamala Harris, look at her. She became black when she started running for president. All of a sudden, now she smoked weed and now she do all this type stuff. When it comes to politics, they're all fake. Well, whoever vote they try to get, that's the people they really reach out to. I understand how powerful social media is. I understand that completely. I understand how powerful it is. I mean, come on, really? Everybody knows that. Everybody knows that social media. Why do you think they got influencers? That's why social media is paying people now. If you got so many followers on social media, on YouTube, Instagram, they pay you. Everybody understands that. That's why social media itself has become a job for people. Come on. Even you ought to have enough sense to recognize that politicians go where they feel the votes is going to go. If it's a black issue, they're going to address blacks. If it's an Indian issue, they're going to address Indians. When Elizabeth Warren said she was Indian, all of a sudden, all the politicians were pro-Indian. So come on. And they got screwed more than anybody. So politics is a joke. I'm not backtracking. You got 70 million followers, and news stations got that. It don't mean that people are going to buy into him because of her. Look at Cardi B's. What is Cardi B's target audience? Think about it. What is her target audience? What is her target audience? Her target audience is like teeny boppers. Come on. Yeah. I mean, that's nothing new. I mean, everybody's on social media now. Everybody. Especially with this COVID thing, everybody's on social media. It's an easy platform to reach people quickly. Everybody's doing it. Everybody. And people even talking about even YouTube. Many people are watching YouTube over regular TV. Why? Convenience. That's what I just said. Many people are watching YouTube over TV. I mean, everybody know that. Social media has a bigger ad platform. Why do you think you get so many ads every time you do a video? Like this video right now is 2 hours and 26 minutes. Do you realize that when I end this and it goes to YouTube, there's probably going to be about 30 video stops in this. I never downplay social media. What are you talking about? I never downplay social media. I think you're trying to get me riled up. I don't know. Because you're like putting words in my mouth. I never downplay social media. Social media is just, yeah, she got 70 million followers, but when you got followers, you have to consider who that person's followers are. What's the age group? And personally, the only reason I'm not a fan of a lot of these social media platforms, because I think they need age restrictions. I really think because some of them are just they're too open. Like some people's content should have an age. Like YouTube has started that to where on YouTube, you have to actually mark your content and whether or not it's kid friendly or not. But stuff like Instagram, Monkey is bad. But a lot of these, they really need to put like a age restriction. Because with the one Monkey, it's like you got kids. Because first time I heard about it, I said, let me try it. I said it might be good for like some of the video stuff I do. And then the way it works is when you go on and you start like, say you sign up for Monkey, you create your thing, and then it just rotates. It goes to different people. And then I realized, like, dang, there are kids like 7 years old, 8 years old, 10 years old popping up on this thing. And these kids were like, these kids was doing adult stuff. Put it like that. I'm just going to say that. It was like adult stuff. So if you got somebody that's a sexual predator, they would love that. And I'm like, wow. So I deleted mine. I didn't do it because I don't like stuff like that. Like when Netflix posted that they made it that twerking dance movie that they was going to put out. I don't know. I guess they stopped that, but it was a twerking dance thing. And I just didn't approve of it. To me, I don't like things that like exploits kids, so, and I just think that some of them you have to be mindful about. You got to really pay attention to, because I just think they just need better. They just need to actually monitor that stuff better. I just feel like if you're a certain age, you shouldn't be allowed to be on there. All right, me too, bro. Take it easy now.